Good afternoon once again, viewers at home, students, technocrats, and youth. This is another opportunity once again for us to learn again Python. That is the language that computer understand. For us to be relevant in the next few few decades. Okay, we actually started with understanding the basics about Python, making use of Google Colab as a platform to run and give instruction for our Pythonic code. Once again, we have had two lectures before. The lecture one was actually centered on the reason why Python or data science is everyday business for everybody. And the reason why it still remains the sexiest and the most lucrative, and is still going to remain most lucrative because it is very relevant in various field of human endeavors. We look at its relevance in medicine, in businesses, in education, entertainment, our daily life, and others. And we were able to also look at what do we have to hold? What does this lecture hold for us? And which I told us that I have prepared about 25 different series of content for us to be able to explore and be able to understand this issue of Python. And the first lecture we had was to understand Google Colab, the environment of Google Colab, what are the basic features of Google Colab, the setting up of Google Colab, the interface like the top menu bar, the cells, the sidebar, output section, and the second, that was the first lecture, the first lecture series. And the other one was, which is second lecture, lecture two, was centered on basic operations as we can use in Google Colab. We actually started with understanding the writing Python environment. We look at certain shortcuts that we can make use of in Python. We look at control M and control M plus B, what that actually means for us. And we also executed what is also called Markdown. Markdown in Google Colab or in Python, not Google Colab, in Python. How does it actually understand that? Which we actually printed. And don't forget that I also told you print in Python actually means do, execute. You are asking computer to do that, to execute a certain function. Don't forget that I told you that Python is the language of the future, is a universal language, and it is one of the friendliest, the freest, and the most accessible language, computer program or computer language that computer actually understand for it to be able to execute certain set of instruction. And not only that, we also look at Python as the translator or the interpreter of the idea for human idea into computer. So that means if you want to do anything in computer, if you want to do anything in data science, if we do not have it to be done in the language that computer will actually execute, understand, it might be inexcusable. And apart from that, we also look at certain we run certain Pythonic code, very simple one, which I gave you as an example. I talk about how can you interact, how can you talk with the computer, and that was where we were almost getting it. We also look at another example of a very performing task in basic arithmetic, like when you had 77 plus 55, when you subtract it together using simple Pythonic code. Apart from that, we also ran into carrying out what is called the print function. The print function, in front of the print function, you should always not forget that print is a key term in Python that you have to open the normal parentheses after print, then into bracket, then you will now put whatever you want the computer to print is going to be inside there. Okay, so today we are going to conclude our um lecture of that lecture 2, then we will now start with lecture 3. And don't forget that this lecture 3 is furtherance of basics in computer on Google Colab. And this one we are going to center it on variables and data made easy. Okay, so without wasting our time, let's go back to the normal Pythonic environment, Google Colab environment that we normally make use of. So go to Google, then go through Google. Straight away, you can also just type Google Colab. Okay, Google Colab. Then also in the last lecture, I also taught you how can you share your environment, working environment, yourself, your notebook, so to say. How can you share your notebook with somebody? So just imagine Google Colab as a notebook, as if you are writing notes, copying notes inside the class, and which you can actually share with somebody. So what you just need is to have the email of the person you want to share it with, and you will just send it to that person email directly. So this is a Google Colab environment. So since we have opened Google Colab before, you just go to open. So it's not going to be new notebook again. So, and don't forget that we, yeah, Python beginner. That was the title of our notebook, Python beginner. And you'll be able to see, okay, so you can see some of what we have done so far. The first lecture, my assignment, write your Python code as you will want it in any Pythonic environment. We did that. This assignment, I asked you to do it. Some people share it with us and some people did not. Okay. Yeah, I have told you that we started on lecture 2, we started basic operation in Google Colab, where we look at writing basic Python for beginners. We also look at the Markdown notes. I taught you about sharing of your work. How can you share your notebook? Shortcut collab. Then we also look at what is Python. What do we understand by Python? Which I told you that Python is a web-based. Once you have your data, you will get to your working environment, you get to your notebook. So Python is web based. It's not an offline platform. So it's not that you don't need. It's the freest. You don't need to subscribe. You don't need any money to pay. The only thing you just need is just your Gmail or email. So I will also look at how can you run basic Python program, and which we look at names like this. When you have a name, then you have age, and you print name, you print age. You can see the way you have it there. And the example of Markdown, I told you, which is this one. Then apart from that, we also executed some certain instruction. And I told you that a Python or Python program is a simple, powerful and easy to read computer language. Not only that, it translates human idea into codes or set of instruction for computer to execute and understand. It is a translator of all human actions or idea for actions for computer. So we can summarily say that it is a actionable set of instruction for computer to understand. And we also executed certain that print input. I told you that is executionable. So print, then you want computer to print. What do you want computer to print? Computer to print this. and so on. So I want us to test something. Since that is the this is the general, okay, this is the general um structure of print. So let's see if this one will print, okay, without putting anything there. Just put this. Let's see how computer will understand it. So that is telling you that this is the normal structure. So once you understand the normal structure of anything in Python, honestly speaking, you will make your computer to be able to understand it very, very well. Let's see if you do not put codes. Let's see if we can still, it's still printable. Okay, that's still okay because that's the normal structure. Now let us see if instead of using double parentheses, let's say if you use one, let's see if it is going to execute it. Okay, let's see. So you can see it's already been printed in red. That means it is incomplete until you add the second one before you see it normal. So let's say we want to print my love is for you always. Okay, so ask the computer to print it. So you can see that's already printed that as well. So just like I said, we are continuing with that, and today we want to look at another example, and that's going to be on print function, furtherance of print function. So let's see, we have our, okay, let's say we have another example. So we can, today is well, okay, you can give your dates here. Okay, apart from that example, so you have to type this in your Python cell. Okay, how will this one, how will you type it there? So what are you to type? You have to type, okay, so don't forget that this is what is called a cell. From here to this long box is a cell. It's called a cell. So you have to type anything in that cell. Let's see how it's going to be. So let's say print, sorry, print, okay, um I am afraid to being alone. Let's see how computer is going to, so computer has executed that. Another example is that we want to use a very simple arithmetic. So let's say you use print, and where is it? Okay, don't forget. It's very important you master the environment you are working in. So we want to print um 77 slash 7 multiplied by 77. So this is what we want to print. Print it 539. 539. Okay. So that's the print this. Now, um, if you want to print like something like this, print if it is in text. If it is in text and you do not put quotes, quotation mark, it is going to bring you error. Okay, let's see. Instead of us to put quotation mark, we do not put quotation mark. What we just put is just ordinary. So you can see that it's already telling you here there's an instruction. Hello is not defined. So let's see how you print this. You see, it has brought in error, syntax error. So, and that syntax error is that is telling you that the name hello is not defined. So if you want to define it, just put it in a quotation mark. In quotation mark. So then execute. You can see very, very easy. So it is very, very easy for you to be able to do this. So let me give you an assignment. Let me give you another assignment in which I want you to do assignment. Okay. The first thing is that you have to try several executable sentences on your own. On your own. For example, on your own. So what you have to do is to print your full name on the screen. Okay, apart from that, two, you have to print your favorite name. Print your favorite food on the screen. On the screen. Okay. So now again, I want you to understand. Let's go to what do we mean by comments. Okay, on the screen. Always cross-check your spellings. So because anything misspelled might actually affect you. So print, number 3, print or write a comment that says what your code does. So all those codes that you are going to write, you have to make comment on it, how and what all this, what they do, what's all your code, what they do. Um, so today, just like I said, which is going to be our focus for lecture 3. Lecture 3. So it's going to be, don't forget we started with understanding the alphabets, and which I told you, if you want to understand any language at all, if you want to make use of any language, if you want to become literate in any language, so to say, you have to start learning it simple by simple. You start from the alphabet. You start from numbers. How can you add 1 plus 1 together? What is it going to be? Simple basic arithmetic. Simple basic alphabet. You add a, you combine it to form name, to form your favorite, this and all this. That is exactly what we are able to do for lecture 1 down to 3. So don't forget, lecture 1 was based on understanding the environment, Google Colab environment, what uh, it contains, the features, the the features, the environment itself, what we have in the environment. Okay, then apart from that, we now look at, we started lecture 2 started with the basic, the alphabet of Python, and we actually look at Python as being the language of the future. So we started learning how can you put 1 and 2 together, how can you print, what does print actually mean to Python or in Google Colab. Okay, now we want to look at data and variables. Data and variables. I want you to understand that in Python, and you should take notes, in Python, text, if anything is written in text, that is in letters, okay, what we call in letters in English. It is called text in Python. And whatever you are writing, if it is going to be in text, it has to be in quotation mark. You can make use of either single quotation mark, or you can make use of a double quotation mark. It is going to mean the same thing. But don't forget that what I also call the markdown, you have three single quotes, which is starting your text, like in form of your paragraph. Then we are going to close it with another three quotation mark. That is what is called markdown. Now, just as we said, this one is we want to move into building blocks. So the question is, how does Python store information in form of variables, in form of data? So data is going to work and variables, they are going to work in a different way that the text is going to work in. Okay, and don't forget that, we're already getting close to the end of the lecture. So we are looking at variables and data, what they mean, variables and data. So, okay, a variable, I want you to take note of this. A variable is like a box with a name, with a name on it. Okay, you can store information in it and use it later. You can use that information later. Let's look at example. Now I want you to know something. Okay, we are going to start with this example, and that example is going to be called comments. Comments. So you come across comments. What do we mean by comments in um, Python? What is comments in Python? Okay, so comments are notes, and notes you write, okay, notes you write in your code to explain what you are doing, what you are doing. For example, a comment is like when you say name is equal to Ada. That is a comment. So let's see. Let's see. So when you say that, okay, let's see. Let's go to the code environment. And let's say you want to print. Okay, let's say you say name is equal to Adeoti. Don't forget that I told you that anything in text is always in quotes. So, so now if you want to print, you want computer to print Adeoti, print. So instead of you to say print Adeoti, computer will not understand that, because computer will still ask you to define what do you understand by Adeoti. Is going to tell you it is undefined. What you have defined, what you have made as comments is name. So you have to print name, and you will see that it's going to be understandable by what? By the computer. Let's see if you now ask what is going to happen if you ask the computer to print print name. I print Adeoti now. Let's see, print Adeoti. So then I want you to be very, very careful, very, very careful, and you have to be careful because I said Python is sensitive, is case sensitive. So if you print, okay, we are going to see that. I will also demonstrate that. Print Adeoti now. Let's see. Okay, that's also recognized. Okay, if you do not put, let's say you do not put it in quotes, sorry, in quotation mark. Let's see if it is going. It's not going to. You can see it's error. It's error. So because it is looking at it on different thing, it is only integer or sort of other classes of variables that you can print without putting quotation there. Okay, so you can see that's why it is an error. So it's not telling you that although you said the name is Adeoti, you have to print this. So it's not telling you that Adeoti is not defined. So it's better we now put let's put the quotation so that okay, anyone that is going to be executable will always not give you anything red. Can you see? It has printed this. So comments are notes you write in your code to explain. Sorry, to explain. So if you want to edit, you double click to explain what you are doing. For example, we have seen such here that a name is equal to Adeoti and so on. Now, let us see another comment. Another comment could be, it might not be in form of text, it might be in form of another variable. So when you say name, okay, let's say you say A is equal to 15, okay, B is equal to 25. So that is a kind of comment. And comment, we always put something like this. Tell you that it is comment. So you can see. So C is equal to A times B times A again. Let's see. So you have to print. If you have to print C now. Okay. So it's because of the, we are going to see it when we go, it's because of the indentation. It's because of the indentation. So you can see I've drawn it back now to be on a straight line. So now print C. So what is if A is equal to 15, if A is equal to 15, B is equal to this. So if you now multiply A by B, then multiply this, and you have to print C. Let's see. So that is the word. It's going to be 75 as 7425. Okay. So before I go today, let me try and tell you about correct indentation. Correct indentation, which we have demonstrated. Another note we I want to look at is correct, okay, correct indentation, and white space. Correct indentation and white space. So you should know, it's a point of note that Python, you have to note it. Python uses spaces, not only spaces. It means if you put any space there, it has meaning to Python. If you put any indentation there, it has a meaning in there. So use spaces to show structures, So what you must do, you must always indent. That is, you had spaces. Make sure you had enough and correct spacing, because it has meaning. You have to take it properly. Um, when you are writing properly in loop, functions, and conditions. So in the future, we are going to actually look at this. For example, now, let's say you put, okay, let's go back to the code environment. You should now say print name. Let's see what's going to be the, now, if this one, look at this, if now you see, can you see, because I've put space, before from here to this place, the space is very, very wide. You can see unexpected, you can see the comments. You can see all expected what? All expected indentation. You can see it there. So it's telling you that you're ready. It means a lot. So let's say you want to execute this, you want to print it. You don't, it's different from when you execute it this way. Name here, can you see it? Then let's now see if you now keep a space. Let's say you keep some space here and you ask the computer to do that. So what we are saying, okay, this is not a conditional, it's not a function, it's not a loop, it's not a function, it's not a loop, it's not a condition. That's why it is printing it. But anytime we get to the loop statement, function statement, and condition like if it is true. For example, now let's say your comment is like this. Okay, if true, now print, if true, print um name. If true, print name. You will see this is a conditional statement. Print name. You can see it's error. So to actually, because of the if, because if is a conditional statement, so you have to be very, very careful. It has already said it. Expected and indented block after if statements on line 1. So the indentation you have given here is not correct. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with functions, when you are dealing with conditionals, when you are dealing with loop. We are going to see all these and generate examples, series of examples of all these as we go on. Don't forget, this is lecture 3 on Python, learning Python in 30 days for 30 minutes every day. Don't forget that the lecture still continues. I want you to focus on it. Don't forget the first lecture devoted for the environment around Google Colab. We look at everything in Google Colab, what the function would be. Second one was we started with alphabet in Python, learning alphabet in Python. So we look at simple arithmetic, adding this, simple statements, print functions, and so on. And this one today, we started, then we also ended it with how can you share your notebook? How can you share with somebody? So I told you to always share it through here. And we started what we did this evening. We started on variables. Okay, I gave you an assignment in which I said you should submit it in the comment section. Then variables and data. I told you that a variable is like a box with name on it. You can store information in it and it can be used later. We look at what comments are. So comments like when you have name, when you are given instruction to the program, to the computer, name is equal to Adeoti. That means wherever the name appear, we are going to put Adeoti there. So, and we were able to print this successfully. And I told you comments will always come in form of this, where we said A is equal to 15. This, all these are comments. Then we also look at a correct indentation and what is called white space. You should know that Python understand and we look at spaces. It's not ordinary spaces for Python, especially when you are dealing with loops, functions, and conditions. And you can see how this one is bringing out error. Okay, let's see if you now put it there. Uh-huh. So let's see. Okay, but one thing is that there are this statement is not correct because we are dealing with if. So we are going to see more of this when we go on. So, but you should know that incorrect indentation will definitely might definitely give you